Welcome back to Box Office Maniacs. Tonight I have an exclusive. So tonight I am going to be reviewing a movie that's not even out in the theaters yet, and I actually got to go see it last night, a premiere last night, and the movie is
The Blair Witch.
Vince hates The Blair Witch, and he's never going to go see this movie because he hates the first movie.
Oh, he hates the first movie.
So what are you doing on the review, Vince?
Oh, he hates the first movie.
I already said you hate the first movie.
Well, I thought it was terrible.
That's you hating the first movie.
But,
That's hating the first movie.
however,
Oh, wait, hang on. There's a however.
the one thing I do give the Blair Witch Project, which was the first one, the originality of it, the idea of it, the concept of it, all that was really ingenious for the Blair Witch Project. But, however, but the movie itself, I thought, stunk. However,
Vince, I'm going to school you here. I'm going to school you here for a minute, Vince.
the other thing that the Blair Witch Project started, of course, was the whole found footage genre of horror.
Exactly, Vince. It created an entire genre by itself. Therefore, this movie is a classic.
Terrible.
About as classic gets right here. This is it.
I wouldn't call it a classic, but what it did for the horror movie genre was created something new. But, however, like I said, the concept of it, the idea, just taking a video camera out and filming in the woods, somewhat of a movie, it was a classic idea. It was an original idea.
Hang on, I gotta wait for Becky to stop walking around upstairs.
It's the Blair Witch walking around.
I mean, I'm not an expert on I'm far from being an expert on Blair Witch, but from what I know about the movie, is it was a student film. These people made it in college, and I guess it was a college assignment for somebody to go out and make a film or whatever, and that's what it was. It was just a college assignment, and it turned into this, and that's phenomenal. I mean, it was never meant to be seen in public. It was never meant to be shown in a movie theater. It was meant to be a class project for a teacher to watch. That's what this was. It's a student project. They went out there to film it for a college, for a student project. Then they saw, wait a minute, we actually have something here. And then it got put into the theaters, which was unheard of because it's a student project. And that's what makes the movie so great. It's not professionals. These aren't professional directors out here. These aren't professional actors out here, Vince. They're just students.
I understand that, but I just didn't care for the story. I didn't think it was all that great of a film.
The original came out in 1999. This is like pre-fast internet. I mean, I'm talking it would take 15 minutes for an internet page to come up and another 20 minutes for the pictures, if you're lucky, for them to show up. Back then, there was no YouTube, there was no Twitter, there's none of that. And it's like everybody thought that this film was real. And that's what it made it so fun, is like, what is this? Is it real? Is it, made by somebody? Nobody knew. Still have fantastic memory of my wife and I going to see this. We sat down and watched it, and there was hardly anybody in the movie theater. Of course, it didn't even take up the whole screen. It was in the middle of the screen because it wasn't made for a wide screen. Even then, my wife and I had no clue. We didn't know if it was real, or because there was nothing out like this, and that's what made it so great.
That part of it is what I give it props for. I mean, I think it did great in forming that genre of horror.
So now, all these years later, we finally get a proper sequel to The Blair Witch, and it's about time.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know the name of the company that put on the premiere, but they were fantastic. They did a great job with it. They had the stick figure people hanging above the door when you walk in there, so you kind of hit them with your head when you walk in there, and there's 3 or 4 of them hanging there. So then, we get in there, and they're playing really creepy, eerie music, and that's so awesome. It's like, and that's how you do a premiere, especially for a horror movie. I mean, I've been to so many different premieres where you just go in there and you sit down and there's nothing. Here, they're actually attempting to make it fun for you, and that was great. I thought they did a fantastic job.
Well, when I saw the trailer for this, I mean, it surprised me what it was, that it was the Blair Witch and that they were going to do this. And the only thing that went through my head before, and this was before I heard what it was, that it was supposed to be an actual sequel, was the first thing that went through my mind is, oh great, they're remaking that terrible crap.
Well, I thought this film had so much potential because, like, the first film didn't tell you anything, and here is the opportunity to explain what happened in the first film, what happened at the end of the first film.
I didn't like the ending of the Blair Witch. I thought it was terrible.
So here's an opportunity for them to explain Blair Witch, is what I'm saying. Did they? No, absolutely not. They did not explain nothing about the ending of that film.
So it's a remake of the first film.
No, it's not a remake. It's basically, the story here is actually a pretty good idea, too, for a story. Is the brother of the girl from the first film, she obviously disappeared up in these woods, and he wants to know what happened to her because nobody ever found her body and nobody knows what happened to her. So he gets a group of people together and they want to make, obviously a documentary. So they go back to these woods to find the original group of people. That's the sequel. I mean, that is a good idea for a sequel. What would even be better was if they would go there and then they would find out what happened to them. And then you would expand on the legend of the Blair Witch and have all this cool stuff happen. None of that was in this movie.
But
the problem with this film is, one, is since they've made the Blair Witch, people have figured out how to make a found footage film to where you can see what's happening, usually. I mean, they set up, like Paranormal Activity, they set up a camera somewhere, or the person carrying the camera is carrying it steady enough to where you can see what's happening, or something like that.
Aha.
Yeah, this movie is almost 98% shaky cam, and you can't see hardly anything of what's happening. And I don't understand why. It's just shaking. You see people running. You see leaves. You see feet. You see this. You see, and you can't. My eyes actually got tired. I couldn't even keep my eyes open anymore watching this film, trying to focus on what the heck was going on.
I am not going to see this movie, and if it's like that, I definitely will not like this movie.
They only talk about the Blair Witch for a little bit in this film, and what they do say about her and her legend, that's the story I want to see. That's what I want to hear about, because it was really creepy, sounds really cool. We don't get that. We get shaky cam, running, screaming, shaky cam. What is that? Oh, I don't know, I can't see it. Shaky cam, running. Wait a minute, there's no, I can't see it. Shaky cam, running. I mean, that's this movie.
Huh?
Somebody gets killed or whatever, and the body falls down. They're laying there on the floor or on the ground, and then the camera falls down, and you can see them laying there, and then something pulls them off screen. Whoop, they're gone. Whoop, what happened to them? I have no idea. They don't show it. It's like, whoop, here's a big budget Hollywood film. I don't know what it cost to make this movie, but it looked like it cost maybe like $1.50, and then maybe some change they found in a couch somewhere they threw in with it.
Probably did.
I could strap a camera on my dog and send him out through the woods, and it would have the same effect as the camera in this film. I mean, it's like, what's the point of making a film like this when you can't see anything?
So, Dave, I guess the big question is now, what are you going to actually give this movie, a rating for this terrible movie that I haven't seen, that I probably won't see until it's on cable late at night?
There were a few good things about the film.
Huh?
I mean, it wasn't all terrible. There was a couple gross out sequences, and it really kind of, even for me, kind of like, I won't give them away, but one of them had to do with somebody's foot, and it was really kind of creepy, really gross. I thought that was really well done. Basically, the soundtrack of this film, that's what scares you, is the people are sitting in a tent, and then, BAM! Whoop!
Huh?
The sound in the film was really good, and that's what made you jump.
That's where they spent the other $1.95.
But some of that stuff was good. I mean, it was creepy, and there's a few parts there at the end where, when I was watching it, I kept thinking of the movie Alien. How Alien was so good because you didn't know what the alien looked like. They kept teasing it, and you're like, what does this thing look like? And this they just didn't show it. I mean, if they did show it, I sure didn't see it. They showed it like standing next to a tree, one frame of footage, and you're like, what was that? Did I see it? No, I couldn't. And then at the very end, I'm waiting to see this freaking witch. I was like, okay, they're gonna show it. Nothing.
He just went.
So I'm gonna give this movie A 2.5 out of 5.
But actually, this review is getting us ready, or getting you guys ready, for our big month of the year, our super huge month of the year that's coming up real soon, called... So this is a little preview of what Horror Month might be.
However, we're just going to shake the camera a bunch and you're not going to see any of it.
If that's what you want to call an ending